Hey guys, Mr. Spoon YouTube here, and I want to take a minute today to make a video about all the different weapons here in the sandbox, because I've just been getting so many friends hopping into Halo Infinite because it's free. They've been excited and interested in picking up the game, but a lot of them just feel like, oh hey, I'll hop into a match and just, I'll learn everything on the fly, and then they get insta-killed by a Skewer or a shock rifle, and they're just kind of confused as to how they, can't compete. And there's a lot of issues that, come up when you don't really take the time to go through some of the training, but a lot of people just don't want to do that. So I figured I could just make a quick little video going over sorts of stuff for the guns that I can, and the different use cases and scenarios, and how you should be trying to use them. But honestly, I wanted to make it under 10 minutes, but I just couldn't. It's too much information and too many examples. Like, the most I could do was about 13 minutes of all the different guns here. And I mean, every gun realistically is actually pretty useful if you are, trying to make it work, with the exception of one, and I'll make sure to point that one out. Like, that gun is best as a floor ornament, TBH. Hopefully you guys like the video, and without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, I'm going to start out by explaining what I'm doing here, and I'm just on live fire here with infinite ammo and the different guns. So we're going to start off with the Sidekick here. And the Sidekick is honestly one of your most useful tools. It has a faster time to kill than the assault rifle or the BR. This thing is a freaking beast. You should be trying to use this thing every single time you can in close to mid-range. It's going to outdamage just about everything else for the most part, other than power weapons, of course. And really, just that once you pop shields, that one-shot headshot, it is so good and extremely good if you can just consistently hit it. AR in this game functions like the AR in most other games, but honestly I feel like this one's a bit more consistent, if anything. It does have the bloom that does make it, inconsistent, but you can kill people in technically 17 shots if you hit every shot and then 2 to the head. So you can kill 2 Spartans with 1 mag with this gun, and it is very effective for that. But as you can see here, I'm just trying to put as little bullets as I can off of feel and then a melee. I was 1 bullet short on this guy. Like, this gun can kill 3 to maybe 4 Spartans if you just time all that out right. And here we go with the battle rifle. Not much to say here. Extremely accurate. It is your ranked weapon that you spawn with, though, so if you want to get good at this game, you're definitely going to have to get used to using it. I'm going to be using it in combination with a lot of the other weapons around, so you'll see me picking this up quite a few times to combine with things to show some of the competitive stuff that you're going to want to pull off for sure. And here we go with the Heat Wave. This gun, a lot of people do not like, but I'm here to tell you, get good with this thing, because things like that, you can seriously just one-hit somebody after you hit a decent Heat Wave shot, and it is disgusting. How do you really counter that if somebody is good with this combo right here, which, I'm going to go ahead and miss plenty right there. Oof. But if you can actually hit a good Heat Wave BR shot combo, you realistically just almost insta-kill people. It melts so hard. And as well with the Heat Wave, you can, not just with the swap there, but you can just melee right after too. I think it's going to be coming up right here in a second. It is kind of difficult, though, to aim your shots, especially in the vertical mode, but that's how you're going to get your most consistent damage out with it. The horizontal mode is very difficult to, hit most of your spread with, but it's easy to just knock some people down when they're low on life. And here we go with the Pulse Carbine. A lot of people really, really do not like the Pulse Carbine, but I'm here to tell you, if you're playing in ranked and you use the Pulse Carbine correctly, you can do a lot of work, but it's almost solely reliant on having a teammate to help you. This gun is an assist machine. It is not a killing machine. It is an assist machine. That's what it is built for. If you and somebody else look at somebody and you can hit one of these Pulse Carbine bursts on them, then you can very easily almost insta-kill people, kind of like if you were peeking with a plasma pistol shot. And that's kind of the role that this gun fills, is like an alternative plasma pistol that you can actually spam more shots out into the mid-range with. See, if you can actually manage to hit a full burst on somebody and then actually just hit one BR shot there to the head, you can actually manage to almost insta-kill people. So I've found that if you and your team are like playing Slayer on something like Bazaar and there's a lot of open areas and you can just kind of peek out and just put 1 to 2 bursts into people like that right there, then all it takes is one person hitting them in the head with anything. And they aren't going to be able to crack your shields in the time it takes you to do this. Those 2 bursts right there, they aren't going to be able to, you know, kill you in that amount of time. That's just too quick. So this gun does very well peeking and just capturing a couple people who might be out in the open with a burst or so, pinging them, and then your teammates get a free kill. Like, it is not meant for you to be mocking up all these kills unless you're going to swap to a kinetic weapon. Speaking of kinetic weapons, this is the best kinetic weapon, the freaking Mangler. Holy crap, this gun is so good, dude. And fast swapping in this game. Get a medal called Hold This when you drop your weapon, because it is faster than swapping to your other weapon. But then, of course, you don't have a second weapon to swap to if things go bad. So, what ends up happening here is, if you do drop the weapon, the Mangler can really just put in so much work, because it just takes those 2 Mangler shots and then a BR shot to the chest and head, and you crack them, and it's almost instant kill. It's pretty freaking good. Like, that time to kill is freaking nutty. Like, the only other thing that might end up being a faster time to kill there would be if you hit the 3rd Mangler shot, and but for that you have to hit them in the head to get that kill. Otherwise it'll take 2 more body shots from the Mangler. But it's a bit easier to hit the headshot there with the BR than it is with the Mangler. So, know what your key is, or your button on your controller, to drop your weapon, because it is actually very useful when it comes down to close fights like that, and especially with high skill weapons like the Mangler. You're going to want to hit a couple shots and insta swap so you can make sure you can keep going. And as well, it's a one-shot melee. The Mangler is just a whole different beast. There we go with the rocket, your standard rocket in every single Halo game. Hit somebody with it and they drop. Get hit near them and you swap to your BR. I was trying to show that here, but right here, you know, get them low, and it's just one shot with the battle rifle. So it's very consistent. I mean, never pass up on rocks. It's, you know, essentially 2 free kills, just about, if not, you know, at least 1 for sure. Skewer is the new sniper that replaces the flicker from old Halo games. And this one just shoots a giant freaking rail spike that also does a ton of damage to vehicles as well. So this is honestly probably the best gun in the game. That's why they gave it such a long freaking reload time. It's a one hit, like, anywhere to the body. This thing is freaking ridiculous. Get good with it. You can aim and, you know, double zoom for the scope, but it does have drop over longer distances, so it's a bit harder to use. And here we go with the Bulldog, the shotgun for Halo Infinite. And this is definitely the weakest shotgun we've ever seen in a Halo game, because holy crap, you can't one-shot somebody at close range. And really, for how fast I feel people can strafe in this game, it's pretty easy to just step out of the way of some of the shotgun shots. So the gun can feel very inconsistent, but it is actually a good gun, and you can one-hit melee with it, like the Heat Wave. And here we go with the Cinder Shot. This is essentially a alternative, or it's supposed to be, to the rocket launcher, but I just feel like it takes way too many fucking shots to kill people. You don't have to put yourself in too much danger to hit those shots though, so that's kind of the trade-off there. And I mean, really, it's supposed to be a 2-hit kill, but it's usually 3 or 4 for me. And here we go with the Disruptor Pistol. Now, this gun is not the greatest, but really, if you're going to do anything with it, its best use is probably just hitting those first 3 that you can see and stacking the electricity proc, because it's a damage over time gun, but it doesn't trigger the damage until you've hit people with enough shots. So your best bet is probably just triggering that 3-shot damage over time, pinging where the person's at, and then dipping back around the corner. Let your teammates handle it. Because of the amount of time that they're taking damage, their shields won't start recharging until after they're done taking all of the electric damage, and then they can start recharging their shields. They lose almost every single fight they take while they're still being shocked. Now 6 shots instead of 3 there. 3 charges up the initial electric proc, 6 supercharges the proc, and that's enough to kill them with the dot. As you can see, you don't have to do anything else. I feel like I've hit people with 6 shots before though, and they live with like a sliver. I feel like it's kind of wonky. I'm not quite sure how the game actually treats all of it, but more than anything, I would say your best bet is probably just shooting 3, peeking back into cover, waiting a minute, pinging where the enemies are at. It's not really that great of a gun to just pick the engagement. And here we have the Hydra. Now, the Hydra is rough. The lock-on reduces the damage that the rockets deal, and the rockets take 3 hits to kill people. Either really close to them or directly on their body, it'll still take 3 hits, regardless of what you're doing. And for a projectile-based weapon like this, it really just does not do well. It is 6 shots, and the fastest you can kill someone is with 3. You have to empty half the mag. This gun is really only good in like BTB, or if you're playing on Behemoth and there's vehicles. Next up, one of my favorite weapons here, since freaking Halo CE, but honestly hasn't been this good in any of the games, is an Mangler. So a lot of people don't like picking this up, but I'm here to tell you, pick this dang thing up. It is so good, and especially on the objective maps, matches with like CTF on Bazaar and stuff. This gun essentially can punish people for pushing out into the open, and when you're playing a game mode like Capture the Flag, people have to push out into the open to get things done a lot of the times, and you essentially get to lock down objectives for free. Now, here's the floor ornament gun. Look at that, adorning the floor. Exactly where it belongs. I accidentally grappled it. But there you go, look, it even does some nice rolls and flips. Perfect, yup, best spot for it. We'll talk about that later, maybe. So this is a plasma pistol. The smaller and honestly probably even more potent brother of the Pulse Carbine. What you're going to want to do with this guy is, of course, just charge up a shot, drop it into somebody, and you instantly crack their shields. It also fully cracks an overshielded target. The tracking on it's not as good as it used to be in other Halo games. Honestly, I was trying to miss that second one, but it just dove into the other person. And really, you don't want to be using this gun like at close ranges to try to hit this shot right here. Like, no, because if you miss it, they just immediately beat you. So what you want to do is kind of have people at arm's length, bit of a distance, and then see if you can peek pop it. And then essentially, if they peek it at all, they lose. You just get to one-hit them. So you want to keep people at arm's length and just try to hit those one-shots. And here we go with the S7. I've been feeling the greatest today, so my flicks have not been quite what they normally are, but it's pretty self-explanatory as far as sniper rifles go. You know, 1 shot to the head, and 2 to the body, 1 to the body, and just about anything else dump into their head because it cracks shields. You can almost instantly melt people. And speaking of melting, the other weapon we got here in our back pocket is Sentinel Beam. Talk about that in a minute. But really, if you pick up the sniper rifle, you need to know what you're doing with it. If you don't feel confident in your skills with the sniper rifle, let somebody else pick it up, man. Because it can totally turn the entire tide of the match. Because if you can do that, you just get to delete people for free. So, I mean, why would you take that away from somebody who's going to be able to make your life that much easier, you know, if they can hit those shots? Definitely a weapon to practice with, make sure you get good with, because it's on a lot of the ranked maps especially, and it is a very good weapon. So just make sure to get some practice in with it, and at least just hit those body shots, because if you can hit the body shot, it's only just a quick swap to, you know, 1 of anything to the head. Alright, just going to talk about the Sentinel Beam real quick, and I mean, it's a high DPS weapon, you know, it's a beam weapon, so it's hard to, you know, hold the beam on people, especially when strafe speeds are so high. So, not an easy weapon to use, but definitely a good weapon in this game. And next, we're going to be talking about the Stalker Rifle. Now, a Stalker Rifle is definitely a great weapon, but it is also very difficult to use because, well, it actually has a bit of a travel time to all the shots, and it is a 3-shot kill if you can hit 2 body shots and a headshot. But because of the projectile travel speed, that 3rd shot being a headshot is freaking difficult to do consistently. So, at the end of the day, it's usually better just to hit, like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 body shots, and then swap to something else that you feel more comfortable hitting the shots with. And this other weapon here that I'm using right now is the shock rifle. Honestly, my favorite weapon in this game. I really do like the shock rifle. It is a 1-shot to the head, and it's kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, the gun is subpar, doing everything else. It has a bladed bottom, so if you do end up, you know, cross-shotting with your teammates and then get them kind of low, you can out-DPS them with a punch, but if you aren't hitting the headshots on this gun, you aren't doing much of anything. It's a 3-shot to the body, and you have 4 shots in your mag. So, you can't one-shot melee like most of the other bladed weapons can. You don't get benefits, essentially, from this gun, or not from this gun, but from the shock rifle, from sucking. You need to be on point with everything. And last, and certainly least, the Ravager. This gun is the floor ornament gun. The only thing it has going for it is that you can one burst like that in melee. That's about it. But even then, you hurt yourself on the burst, so if you're getting cross-shotted and you try to just one-shot melee somebody, you might even just freaking kill yourself or clear your own shield and somebody can one-shot headshot you. So this gun is really just a letdown. There's no redeeming qualities for it. It has almost no AoE. And then you do this charge-up shot for the AoE, and the only way that you can even make it work is if, like that, you hit somebody directly in the middle of it, and then you hit them with a full burst afterwards. People are strafing and moving around too much for the burst to track because there's like almost no magnetism, and the AoE on this gun is freaking sad. Honestly, the thing about the Ravager is it used to be good in some of those beta flights. It was a 1-hit burst if I remember correctly, but really I think it needs to be a 2 direct hit burst, if anything, to make it even viable. But until they buff this thing, this is where it belongs. Literally right here in the mud, in the freaking trash. Don't pick it up, even in ranked, just leave it. Now, the only other gun that I've missed so far is honestly probably my second favorite, because favorite's the Needler. You really just get the lockdown areas with that, but here's the Commando. So, the Commando's finicky, pretty hard to use for sure, and it is not forgiving. But if you can actually keep your shots on target, you can really melt people freaking fast. This thing can absolutely delete your enemies, and especially when you're playing in ranked, if you can just keep a couple shots on target and bursts like that right there, then you can actually just absolutely melt people. And especially when you're cross-firing with a couple BRs, this gun can put in a lot of work. Do not leave this on the rack if you're playing ranked for sure. It is a great weapon to have in your back pocket, and if you're actually playing with your team and cross-shotting, it can do work. Or it can just absolutely miss like I was just doing right there. I mean, even on controller, I've heard aim assist just does not help you with this gun. So that's been it. Yeah, that's gonna do it for me today. Hopefully you guys enjoy this and you learned something new. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a wonderful New Year's and happy 2022.